Great, isn't it?
Yes. Schutz Road. Go there with my Kemal's busboy jacket on at 2 o'clock after I was done.
When and the same thing with our kids, were involved in sports and activities and all kinds of things there for years. And then when they did the brand new one, which it's probably been close to 15 years now. It feels like it was yesterday, but it's been a little while. And that was our family. That's where it was our family fitness center. We spent many years there. When we moved back to the city, it was a little too far away, but I have great memories of our time there.
Pretty reasonably priced for the amount of facilities.
Yeah, and just great. Just really great vibe, great summer programs, great pool. It's a fun place to hang out there. Did you ever hang out at the J. Connor? You lived close enough to the center of Clayton.
Yeah,
was that
the
your
center
place?
of Clayton was pretty close, so that was really
also a great. We really do have some wonderful community centers and connecting points. The Wise, the Richmond Heights, and many of the communities. Yeah. Clayton have really good DePere, really good community centers that gather people together.
I'm going to be, I think, at the oldest one today at 12:30, shooting a story at the Downtown Missouri Athletic Club, which is every time you walk in there, it just oozes with class.
Yeah, it is. It's a special place. Not quite as affordable as some of these other places we were talking about, but it's a special place for sure. So I had a interesting roller coaster ride on my way home from the radio station yesterday, you guys. I got on the interstate like I do pretty much every day, southbound 270, and all of a sudden I hear this really loud noise, like something is like a truck's about to overtake me, or somebody's got a muffler out. I couldn't quite figure it out. And so I waited for this car to pass me. And then I realized that noise hasn't changed. I think it's coming from my car. And I noticed that things were vibrating at a very intense pace that they hadn't been before. But of course, in that section from when we get on at Page Avenue and Ladue Road, there's no shoulder right now because of the construction in that whole area. So I kind of slowed down a bit, limped my way off into Ladue Road and pulled off into a construction parking lot there that they have kind of makeshift. And sure enough, I'd blown my back rear left tire. It was smoking. The sidewall was, I could see inside the tire. It was, luckily I didn't have to drive on it long enough to bend the rim, but it was definitely a bit of a plot twist. It derailed my afternoon plans. I had to hurry up and cancel some appointments and clients and things that I had because I was without a car. AAA, couldn't have been faster, couldn't have been better.
You didn't change it in your heels?
I don't have a spare anymore.
Oh,
do you have a spare in your car?
I don't know that.
A lot.
No, I do.
A lot of cars that are within, been within the last 5 to 10 years. I don't know. But yeah, we all learned how to put a donut on at least to get us to the place. But not that I would have done it, by myself yesterday. A couple people at the construction site did say, "Hey, you got a spare? I'll just throw that on so you don't have to wait for a tow truck." And I was like, "No spare." And they said, "Yeah, it seems to be the way a lot of manufacturers are going."
Is it like the nicer the car, the less chance you have of having a spare?
Well, I thought maybe it was an electric car thing because, the battery is down in the base, and so you wouldn't have storage space or you'd lose a significant amount of storage space in the car. But then I was according to the internet, a lot of other non-electric car manufacturers don't have spares as part of the car anymore either.
All right, let's take our first break. We got a good opening dialogue headed your way. Frank Cusimano with Jill Farmer and Connor McCarthy. This is the Frank and Jill Show on the Big 550 KTRS.
Great story about Michael Baldy and Baldy Electric. One of the wives called up and said, "Hey, we need an electrician. Call Michael Baldy." And the husband said, No, I can do it. Well, the wife overrode the husband, called up Michael Baldy at 314-968-9999. Maybe she checked the website first, baldyelectric.com. So Michael Baldy came out to the house. While he was at the house, the husband says, "Well, since you're here, I've got 3 or 4 other jobs for you." It turned out to be an all-day affair. They took care of everything. And so, no, the husband couldn't get it done. Good thing the wife called Baldy Electric, and now the whole house is fixed because of one simple phone call to Michael Baldy and Baldy Electric. Indoor, outdoor, brand new commercial building, an old Victorian home, it doesn't matter. Michael Baldy and his team of electricians will take care of you. 314-968-9999, Baldy Electric, or BaldyElectric.com.
Stay connected with the Big 550 KTRS, streaming 24/7 online at KTRS.com or on the KTRS app. Powered by JBL Financial. Stream Straight Talk on Retirement every Saturday morning from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m.
Since 1974, Permajack of St. Louis has been helping residential and commercial owners protect their biggest investment. From successfully solving foundation structural problems to making sure basements remain dry, Permajack has performed tens of thousands of projects on both sides of the river, utilizing state-of-the-art technology, techniques, and equipment. Permajack of St. Louis has done it with honesty and integrity, never recommending anything outside of what you really need. For many repairs, Permajack provides a transferable life of structure warranty, all while Permajack of St. Louis has earned a BBB A+ rating and accreditation for foundation settlement, bowed or buckling walls, cracks in your foundation, walls or bricks, or basement waterproofing. Choose the hometown family-owned team at Permajack of St. Louis. Schedule your free inspection and estimate at permajackofstlewis.com. That's permajackofstlewis.com. Permajack, solid as rock.
At Maryville University, we power dreams, not just degrees. For nearly 150 years, we've empowered graduates to build successful careers. At Maryville, expect a rigorous, technology-driven, mentor-inspired education in a diverse and inclusive learning environment. We help you take it to the next level, no matter what field you choose. Now is the time to turn your ambition into action and transform your dream into reality. Start your journey at maryville.edu.
I'm Mark Miller, owner of Miller Furniture and Mattress, your home for quality American-made furniture since 1927. We offer the largest selection of Amish-made furniture in the St. Louis area, plus quality living room furniture from Flex Steel and Smith Brothers. We carry top-quality mattresses from world-famous brands like Tempur-Pedic, Stearns & Foster, and Chatham & Wells. Shop our Belleville, Fairview Heights, Lake St. Louis, and Ellisville showrooms. At Miller Furniture, we put the family in furniture.
Are you retired? Are you thinking about retiring? Who is helping you with retirement? Might be time to check out the show When Retirement Happens, hosted by Kevin Lloyd of Legacy Wealth Advisors. Saturday at 1, Sunday at noon on the Big 550 KTRS.
And now the opening dialogue with Frank and Jill on the Big 550 KTRS. Powered by Worldwide Technology Raceway.
Hey, thought one. I find this hard to believe, but it was on the Today Show website, and it comes from Consumer Reports. Nearly half of Americans still watch DVDs and Blu-rays, while 15% are playing VHSs. I can't remember the last time I watched a DVD, maybe 10 years, 15 years, I don't know. Never watched Blu-rays, and it's got to be at least 15 years on VHSs. Quick, right now, who has a working DVD player, and do you use it? And who has a working VHS machine, and do you use it? 84126. How about for the two of you?
Nope, don't have either a DVD player. I think there is an old CD player that I keep trying to get rid of that John keeps hiding in different places because he has nostalgic feelings about it. Somewhere downstairs, along with his first big speakers that he got that we haven't used in about 20 years. But no DVD player that I know of.
Connor?
So if you have like a PlayStation or an Xbox, it's also a Blu-ray player. So I guess technically I do, and I can play them, but it doesn't happen very often.
So get this. It's Gen Zers that appear to be spurring this movement on. That's the group born between 1997 and 2012, so basically my age group. But in the story, they suggest one of the reasons is they are burdened by tech. They are rewinding the clock. They are being nostalgic. I don't doubt the credibility of it. I'm surprised by it. Come on aboard. CDs and vinyl sales are actually up too. Take that, you streamers. How about that?
Yeah, there is something about.
Did you see the piece on Today's Show recently?
Yes, I did,
Okay.
and I think I read it somewhere else. It was in the Wall Street Journal, maybe even originally, and I sort of get that, right? Because we pilfered from my parents and my in-laws' album collection because they no longer had turntables, and we had a turntable. We have a turntable that we hook up to digitally, and there's just something about pulling out those records.
Oh,
We
I'm
do
with
it at
you there.
Christmas time.
Yeah.
We do it other times too. And that's just nostalgia from growing up, playing records in the evening, well, we're hanging out. And I'm sure that, kids who grew up with the giant DVD collections and the big cabinetry that we all had that the TV and DVD player used to be in, I'm sure they are connected to that nostalgically as well.
The best reaction to new technology is when a kid looks at an old TV and they say, "What's that in the back of the TV?" Remember the TVs had this humongous back and stuff, and now they're pencil thin.
Oh, do you remember when the first people who had like maybe a fancy SUV or a minivan and they had DVD players in there? I was like, what is the world we live in? I felt like we were going to be flying around in spaceships within weeks because I couldn't wrap my head around how far we'd come very quickly with all that technology.
We couldn't have lived without it in the Toyota van on sports trips. God, that was a life sentence.
Yeah, I know. My poor kids
godsend.
didn't have that. Instead, we had the VHS TV that you could plug into the cigarette lighter, which was a death trap projectile danger that we just put kind of in the middle on the console and crossed our fingers when we drove out to Colorado, or as you mentioned, on trips around. Okay, breaking news here. We just talked about yesterday. I had a blowout when I was on the interstate, lost a tire. So here's the latest. The reason that 60% of new cars now omit spare tires is to reduce vehicle weight for better fuel economy, increase cargo capacity, and lower manufacturing costs. I think maybe the order needs to be changed around a little bit there on that. I'm not sure. Automakers often now include tire repair kits, sealant, or run-flat tires, which, by the way, are a lot more expensive if you buy those instead of the regular ones. And they say that improved tire technology and roadside assistance makes spares less necessary for the average driver. And they say that it eliminating the spare tire assembly saves manufacturers about $200 a vehicle. I can't believe that's enough to make that change. Of course, calculated trade-off. I like the cargo space and I understand the efficiency, but in my case, like a temporary repair kit was not going to help when the sidewall completely.
AAA had to come with a tire.
No, they came with the tow truck because and it was really easy, and because the car was still running, wasn't one of those. So they just drove it up on top of the flatbed, tipped it up, and then I took a nice ride in a tow truck down to our favorite.
How many cancellations did you have?
I canceled about 3 things yesterday.
Connor, that's like a $10,000 day. You know that. Boy, that is true.
That would be great. Do you think I would be here if I could make $10,000 in a day doing my other job?
All right, thought two. Let's stay with that young age group that I'm a part of. So there's a theologian out there named Jacob Phillips. He believes there is a hugely significant change happening right now in Western civilization. He said, quote, "I've spoken at various Catholic events which were full to the brim with recent converts in the 18 to 30-year-old range, mostly young men. Priest after priest has told me that's gone from 1 or 2 adult converts a year to numbers of 20 and 30 each Easter. And they are in double figures for new inquiries already since then." End quote. Church attendance has recovered to 85% attendance to pre-pandemic levels. And it's not just a certain area in the United States. You may be thinking, oh, maybe Bible Belt. Newark is expecting a 30% jump in converts in 2026. Mobile, Alabama had the highest number of converts for them in 121 years. 66 of the 71 dioceses are expecting an increase this year in converts. I think this is quite a trend, and I really can't see a negative in it, but I think it's interesting to report.
Yeah, and how do you think they predict that they're expecting a 30% increase in future times, like in Newark, just based on the number of people that have been coming through, that they're seeing more people coming in?
Yeah, I guess it's trending, that way. I'm not exactly sure, but that was part of one of the 3 articles I read on it. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, interesting stuff. So speaking of interesting, you know how you hear about these people who have an idea, and like the woman who invented Spanx, where it was just, and they tried and it didn't catch fire, and then all of a sudden it did, and then it became a multi-million.
Spanx is like the workout gear that women wear.
It actually started out as shapewear is what we call it, but
yeah.
it's kind of like a modern day girdle, and it's not really. And the woman who had the idea used to cut cut the bottoms off her pantyhose.
Oh, yeah, it's not a workout
And
gear.
use they do have workout gear now. They've expanded into all kinds of clothing, so you're not wrong. But that's where it started. And she would go from store to store, including eventually when they bought it from her at Saks Fifth Avenue, saying, "I'm going to wear a pair of white pants without this shapewear on." Goes into the bathroom, puts it on, and then they come out and go, "Wow!" And that's how she sold it. So one of the latest stories about this, I thought was really interesting because the founder, who's made millions now, says embarrassment was the key. Being willing to be embarrassed was the key to her success. So she went from being ignored at a farmer's market to selling to PepsiCo recently for just under $2 billion. And again, she says that embarrassment was the key to her success.
$2 billion.
Allison Ellsworth, the founder of Poppy. It's one of those better-for-you soda brands that you and I don't necessarily like, but people around us buy, right?
I don't like it.
She started it in her own kitchen, get this, only 6 years ago. It wasn't a big grand business plan. She was just trying to fix her own health after years of doctor visit for gut issues, fatigue, and skin problems. She started experimenting with apple cider vinegar. Then she said she wanted to actually make it taste good. That meant mixing it with some fruit juice, sparkling water, and prebiotics. And then she started handing it out at local farmers markets where people definitely ignored her. She says those moments, standing there, pitching her product, getting passed by, were embarrassing, downright uncomfortable. But that's what built her confidence. Eventually, she landed on Shark Tank, got $400,000 in investment, exploded to a national brand, now that nearly $2 billion sale. Her takeaway for all of us, embarrassment isn't something to avoid, it's something to practice, because the more you're willing to be seen trying, the more you are willing to, the more likely you are to succeed.
Real quickly, back to Spanx. What do you think? Like, is it like unbelievably successful that a person can put this on and look significantly thinner or more cut?
Yes, I would say the alternatives to it were wildly uncomfortable, and you could see it, like you could see, through clothing, and so that was what was so revolutionary. She figured out how to make it. And people weren't wearing pantyhose anymore, which is what we used to rely on to kind of suck things in a bit for us. And so I think that she really hit at the exact right time. As the trend was moving away from hose and tights and things like that, she said, but we still want to have that shape support.
And if you were to go to a store and buy one Spanx, you probably can't just buy one, but how much do they cost? Right?
I think the kind of most basic one is probably, I'm guessing, in like the $30 range.
Yeah, it's
But
pretty
now
low.
they've expanded into, I mean, they're a very trendy and popular brand of women's clothes all across the board. So they've just kept growing and staying profitable, I think.
And I'm sure there's a lot of men that don't know what we're talking about, but they're similar to biker shorts in a sense, right? That kind of that material. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Next up, Thought 3, some quickies. Quick sports thought. Cardinals are 5 games into the season, and they have not been under 500 for 1 second. How about that? They beat the Mets 3-0 last night behind the Italian stallion. I can claim him again, Andre Palante. Nobody in St. Louis had much confidence in him after going 6-15 last year with an ERA in the 5s. He had not won a game since July. He came to winter warm-up, and I asked him, what did you do this offseason to try to take your game to the next level? He said, I added a new pitch. Well, it worked last night. He went 5 scoreless, 9 ground balls. That's his story. Way to go, Stallion. You go, girl. McDonald's All-American game last night where they have the 22 best females and the 22 best men playing in this huge all-star game. It was in Glendale, Arizona. And how about this? They had the winner of the boys' three-point shooting contest, who, by the way, is Jason Crow from Mizzou, who played great in the game, compete against the winning three-point shooter on the women's side. And the girl winner beat Jason Crow. How about that? The skill level of female players is just skyrocketing. I mean, you talk about like an evolution in sports. Female basketball players right now, as opposed to 15 years ago, it's absolutely amazing.
Do you think the players are getting that much better, or people just paying more attention?
No, the players are definitely better. Yeah, they can really play. Yeah, these, especially from a three-point shooting aspect, they just shoot the heck out of it. Okay, finally, how about this scene in the sports office last night? On my phone, the Cardinals and Mets. On the big TV, McDonald's All-American game. And on the iPad, the Netflix special on Lamar Odom, the NBA star who many people thought he died. He also married a Kardashian. Kind of fascinating. But I was in heaven watching, editing, and writing scripts. I will never retire. It was too much of a high. Rick Pitino just signed an extension, and he's a lot older than me, I'm in forever.
Okay, good to know. In the You Can't Make This Up section of today's opening dialogue, police report from Tiger Woods' arrest filed yesterday included a copy of his driver's license, which had a, quote, safe driver notification on it, which means he's had a clean record for 3 years. In Florida, you get a safe driver notification on there. Truthfully, of course, he announced yesterday he understands the seriousness, quote, of his situation, stepping away to seek treatment and focus on his health. I do wish that he can overcome all of those issues. Bob Marley's dreadlock is up for auction in the UK, previously owned by a fan who twisted it off his head in 1978.
What is this going to go for?
And
Do you have a number?
they're predicting it could potentially go for $1 million or more.
Oh, my gosh.
And then finally, I thought it was fun. This was a fun list of rock songs about fools, because, of course, today, not just the first day of Passover, it's also April Fool's Day. Led Zeppelin's Fool in the Rain, The Who's, of course, Won't Get Fooled Again, and What a Fool Believes by the Doobie Brothers.
Oh, that's a great one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are all goodies, I think.
All right, let's take a short time out. Sarah Fensky is going to join us when we come back.
But first, I want to talk a bit about something that I think if you, it's in all seriousness, right? We love to joke around on the Frank and Jill Show, and we love to joke around on April Fool's Day. But one of the things that we don't joke around about is the fact that 1,400 people in the St. Louis area and over 100,000 nationwide are waiting for a life-saving transplant. So today kicks off from our friends at Mid-American Transplant, the reminder that April is Donate Life Month. And it's really easy to make a difference and to be able to support and give life to those 1,000+ friends and neighbors of ours that need a transplant in order to live. You can save up to 8 lives a single donor can. They can restore sight to 2 people, enhance the quality of life for over 75 more with tissue donations for things like tendons that rebuild joints, heart valves that repair cardiac defects, and skin that heals burn patients. It, of course, is an incredible gift of generosity if you choose to be an organ and tissue donor. It only takes 2 minutes to say yes and give life. As a registered organ and tissue donor, which I just did, and it really did only take me 2 minutes, register today. SayYesGiveLife.org. One more time, SayYesGiveLife.org.
When you go and get your car washed, do you really care which car wash you go to? Yes, because not all car washes are created equal. Country Club Car Wash is the local family-owned and family-operated car wash since 1989. All these other ones that are popping up, they're all run by out-of-town hedge funds. Keep it local. Keep it great. Touchless car washes, no brushes, inside and out. 5 area locations, Country Club Car Wash or cccwstl.com.
John Beal Roofing has been proudly serving homeowners and businesses in the St. Louis metro area on both sides of the river in Missouri and Illinois for over 3 generations. A dependable roof begins with a team you can count on, and that's exactly what you get with John Beal Roofing. Recognized as one of Roofing Contractor Magazine's top 100 roofing companies, John Beal Roofing offers 24/7 emergency service and industry-leading warranties, including a lifetime workmanship warranty for total peace of mind. From upgrading an aging roof or completing a full replacement, the team at John Beal Roofing delivers solutions that are built to code, built to last, and handled with expert care. John Beal also responds quickly with reliable storm damage services backed by decades of experience and 24/7 emergency support. Get started today for expert service and a free, no obligation estimate by calling 1-800-NEW-ROOF. That's 1-800-NEW-ROOF.
Do you have the option to control your cash flow and wealth? Are you getting a return on your greatest asset, your lifetime and potential generational income? Overcome these critical financial planning challenges by discovering the control option mindset featuring the lifetime and generational income maximizer. Call Mark Benson and his team at the Control Option at 314-432-9540 or online at thecontroloptionmindset.com.
Are you retired? Are you thinking about retiring? Who is helping you with retirement? Might be time to check out the show When Retirement Happens, hosted by Kevin Lloyd of Legacy Wealth Advisors. Saturday at 1, Sunday at noon on the Big 550 KTRS.
Hey, JJ Weatherhole here. From the stands, people see the highlights. Home runs, stolen bases, diving catches. What they don't see is the preparation to be ready for the unexpected. That's how I look at my car too. Repairs can hit out of nowhere, and they're not cheap. With CarShield, you get the best defense against costly repairs. When something goes wrong, you're not scrambling. You've got a plan, a CarShield plan.
Don't get caught looking. Get a free quote today at carshield.com. Coverage varies by plan. View contracts and exclusions at carshield.com.
The Big 550 KTRS presents Illinois basketball in the Final Four. Pre-game coverage Saturday afternoon begins at 4 o'clock. Presented by Royal Banks of Missouri on the Big 550 KTRS.
The St. Louis Chess Club is a newly expanded 30,000 square foot state-of-the-art chess center featuring world-class tournament playing halls, classrooms, library, and casual play spaces for everyone who loves the game.
But it's so much more than a place to play.
It's where champions are built on the board, in the classroom, and across the community with a mission to bring the game to everyone from all levels, with membership starting at just $15 a month.
Discover the excitement, the challenge, and the community of chess at stlouischessclub.org.
The Illini are on to Indianapolis. Check out our Final Four preview show Friday night at 6, presented by Royal Banks of Missouri, on your home for college basketball, the Big 550 KTRS.
Everyone's talking about these weight loss drugs, and it's a good thing we've got Dr. Joe Molesky with us, a St. Louis native and board-certified primary care physician. The one thing we need to know is GLP-1, right? That's the magic cure.
The magic cure is these weight loss shots. They're injected once weekly. They're not like the old medications that you've seen 20, 30 years ago. These medications actually work.
And you want to start to lose weight? None better than to call STLMedWeightLoss.com and ask Dr. Joe. STLMedWeightLoss.com.
Welcome back to the Frank and Jill Show. Time check 10:35 on a Wednesday morning. It's the first day of April. Happy April Fool's Day to all who celebrate. Happy Passover. We're going to talk to Rabbi Brad Horowitz from the J a little bit later in the show. But now it's time to talk to our friend Sarah Fenske, executive editor of St. Louis Magazine, host of the 314 podcast, editor of the St. Louis Daily newsletter, always breaking news in our area. And this morning, your colleague Eric Schmidt talked a little bit about those numbers coming in from St. Louis hosting the NCAA tournament. We got thumbs up from a lot of the visitors who said their experience in downtown and in St. Louis was good. And now the dollars are looking pretty good from that experience as well. Is that true, Sarah?
Yeah, they think this might have been a $10 million impact just from the March Madness games, which is pretty darn good. And it was nice to see anecdotally that businesses are saying, yeah, we're seeing this too. It wasn't just people who were going inside the arena buying a hot dog there and, not really spending much time adding to the vibrancy of downtown.
Yeah, and they just did an unbelievable job. You have to credit the St. Louis Sports Commission and the Missouri Valley Conference for making this happen. I think it's the 11th time in 33 years, and the NCAA always gushes about the job St. Louis does. So I'm glad you brought that up. All right, how about the social media influencer known as the Woke Ginger filing a lawsuit in St. Louis Circuit Court? Explain, please.
Yeah, this guy, he has a growing following on Instagram and TikTok. And honestly, if you watch his content, he does these short form videos, you can kind of understand why. He's not coming in angry. He's just this sort of pleasant young man who's coming from this really woke perspective, who's pointing out where he thinks people have, made a deal with the devil, or this is wrong because of this. And he'll just sort of patiently walk his listeners through it. Well, it turns out that in addition to having this growing presence online, that he was working for Food Outreach, Inc., and they are a well-respected nonprofit in town. He had been there since 2018. And he says the board members knew what he was up to. The executive director helped him pick out his logo. Things were going well until he posted a video calling out Enterprise. Now, I feel some guilt for this because it turns out his video was based on a story that I wrote. And what we had written about is that Enterprise, based here in St. Louis, was taking some crap from activists across the country who were upset because it seems to be renting cars to ICE agents, particularly in Minneapolis. Now, Enterprise refused to talk to me when we did that story. We followed up a couple times, still couldn't get anybody to talk. But he did a video calling them out for this. And apparently, within just a matter of days, He was called into the executive director's office. She said this is something that a board member wasn't happy about, and he was swiftly fired. Now, we got a statement from Enterprise last night. They said they had nothing to do with this. But the timing certainly is pretty interesting, and this is all here in a lawsuit. This isn't just one guy saying this. It's like his lawyer has now put it in a document that's been filed in court.
Interesting to see how that will unfold. You guys did some good reporting at St. Louis Magazine about something that I think folks may not realize, and that's the number of people that are relying on Uber and Lyft to get to their job every day. I was sure grateful for them yesterday when my, had a tire blowout on the interstate and I was able to get from point A to point B, which I needed to as well. But more and more people are relying on it to get to and from work, which it can be helpful in helping them stay employed, but it's also a pretty expensive way to get to work every day as well.
This story kind of broke my heart a little bit. It was written for us by a freelance journalist, Alan Greenblatt, who I've had on my podcast in the past. He quit his job rather than give in to his boss's fears that Donald Trump wouldn't like this story that Governing Magazine didn't want to publish. Well, he's since been spending a lot of time Ubering in order to pay the bills. And he said he was just struck by just what a large percentage of the people he's driving are just trying to get to work or get home from work. And they can't afford cars, and all the costs that come with cars, having to pay for insurance, having to pay for upkeep. And so they're spending, in some cases, we're talking $10,000 a year just on Ubers. And they see that as this is a cost of doing business. Well, these are not super high paid jobs. And so, it's one thing every now and then I'll have, my battery won't start. I'll call an Uber. Or I'm calling an Uber because I want to have a few drinks. This is a much different scenario to have to just see this as this is a cost of having a job that maybe pays $16, $17 an hour. It feels like something that we as a region should be finding a better solution for, frankly.
I know you've had this in the magazine for a couple of days now, but two St. Louis restaurants going to get some national love on the Drew Barrymore show. We all familiar with Balkan Treat Box. We love them to death. They're the greatest. But I'm not familiar with Montebello Pizzeria. Have you been there? And just tell us about the love they're going to get on the Drew Barrymore show.
Yeah, well, you are missing out the fact that you haven't been to Montebello Pizza. This is just a fascinating little old school St. Louis kind of place. I feel like the people who know about it love it, and not enough people know about it. And so it's kind of amazing to see it being plucked for this national show. It's in Limay, so in sort of, South County, but the part of South County that almost touches the city. And they're just doing this very old school kind of pizza. Frankly, it doesn't photograph well, but it tastes really well. I have these friends that are super fans of this place, and they introduced me, and I'm like, okay, I get what the fuss is about. So yeah, somebody tipped off Drew Barrymore to all this as well.
Wow, that is cool.
I know.
We got a new place to hit or get on our radio show on a Thursday. Montebello Pizzeria, 3662 Weber Road. Good stuff.
Yeah, I know we have some listeners on the Royal Bank of Missouri text line 84126 have been there. So tell us what your preferred order is. And by the way, we need to mention Lauren Knowledge once again. Balkan Treat Box on the list for James Beard Award winners and Vicia and our favorite chef at Sado as well. So St. Louis getting some love on that list as well, which makes us proud. What about this story that Kara Spencer said yesterday, Mayor Kara Spencer from the city of St. Louis, that we're going to have a new portal, city stat portal that's going to keep the city honest by allowing both city personnel and everyone else to see where progress is happening on some things and where it's not. Is this something that you think is actually going to make a difference and worth the time and effort to get it set up, Sarah?
Yeah, that's a great question. I was personally somewhat disappointed because I thought they were creating a portal where I could go in and check on, if I had filed with the Citizen Service Bureau, that I could see where that stood.
Yes,
and it would,
I thought so too.
You could track all my complaints. Not that I file that many complaints. But this is more looking at how departments are doing holistically. So I think it's going to be really useful for city government geeks. I think it'll be useful for journalists, maybe give us important context as we're trying to cover this stuff. Are members of the public going to be geeking out on here's how long it takes them on average to remove a tree that has fallen in a neighborhood? I don't know that that's a chart that's super helpful to just your average citizen.
So, Sarah, you know that Lynn Venhouse from our staff, our great movie reviewer, is going to be doing a book about Donnybrook, and now you're a prominent star in that. I think the only way to make this a best-selling book is for you to say some scandalous things and like behind the stuff, rip Wendy, say Charlie's overrated. I mean, it's the only way to make this a bestseller.
Well, I can't rip Wendy. Wendy's my favorite. The rest of
you
them,
cannot.
I will happily rip the rest of those guys. I mean, don't get me started on some of their ridiculous opinions. But yeah, I'm kind of afraid because I'm obviously a newcomer to this cast. I don't want to do anything that is going to mess this up. So I think if they want to get people to throw down, they need to get Bill McClellan to throw down because they can't fire Bill. It doesn't matter what comes out of Bill's mouth. I think my seat at that table is a little more precarious.
Oh, that's funny because last time Alvin filled in for Frank when he was gone, he said he has not missed a Donnybrook pretty much since he started, and he's going to maybe miss the first one this summer only because he finally thinks his spot is secure enough that he could dare to be gone. I was like, what kind of an operation, what kind of a pressure cooker are they running over there that people are afraid to miss? Or they'll just be, does Charlie just like push the eject button on you if you dare to take a vacation? How is that working over there?
Well, I think the fear is always like, yeah, there's somebody younger, hungrier, better looking, and more intelligent than I am. And so, like, man, if they give me a seat at this table, I better keep showing up as long as they're offering it to me.
Wow.
So I get where Alvin's coming from.
This should be an element. This should be a chapter in the book, how precarious their situations are at all times. And you can't mess with Charlie. You're in big trouble.
Yes.
I know Charlie.
I know how it feels, though, because every time I'm gone and somebody fills in, I hear that Frank is running up and down the halls going, everyone loves this person who's sitting in. This is really good
That is
stuff.
not true.
Hey, I do want to ask you before we go, in all seriousness, Angela Mosley, state senator, filed yesterday to run for St. Louis County executive. So a third hat, I believe, in the ring where fellow Senator Brian Williams and then County Assessor Jake Zimmerman all in the primary. Of course, many people know the name Angela Mosley if she's not their representative because of that physical fight she got in with Councilwoman Shalonda Webb, who was, by the way, on our show earlier this week. And some people and Shalonda Webb had talked about potentially throwing her hat in the ring. She told us she's definitely not. She told us on Monday when she was here that she's supporting Williams. Is Angela Mosley going to be able to get past that as part of her identity? What are your thoughts on her as a serious candidate?
I don't see her winning this race. I'm just going to be honest. I think that hangs too highly overhead. It will not be hard to run an attack ad on, she was in this fight that resulted in lawsuits and criminal charges. Like, that's ugly. I think who this really hurts is Brian Williams. I think he was widely perceived as the strong favorite. And now he's just going to have to fight a little harder for a side of town and a constituency that was thought to already be in the bag for him. So, Jake Zimmerman, interesting guy, kind of a quirky, funny guy. I think this gives him more of an opening than he had before. I could see Mosley potentially playing the spoiler. I still think the race is Williams to lose, but I think the fact that he couldn't cut some sort of deal to get her out of this is going to make things a lot harder for him in the coming months.
Good analysis. We appreciate your time. Always a pleasure to have you on, Sarah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, Sarah Fensky, executive editor, St. Louis Magazine.
One of the things my sisters and I have been talking about this week is just how much more difficult our life would have been in the last year had my parents not made the decision and made the decision with us and our support all the way to transition from where they lived before into a really vibrant assisted living community. Theirs is out of state, unfortunately, where McKnight Place isn't, but someplace similar to McKnight Place and similar to a lot of the things that McKnight Place have, which number one is having a locally based ownership group that cares so much about each one of the residents, because as a family member, when things are happening, right? My mom had an unexpected terminal illness that we were navigating through that, and hospice and all kinds of things that seem to be changing almost daily. And you just need to have a place where you have a direct line of communication with decision makers, with people who are empowered to help make things right for you. And that's one of the things we hear over and over and over again. And when you read the reviews about McKnight Place, is you have a caring staff and then you also have caring leadership that is committed to making the experience, even when times are hard, mostly times are good for people who are living there, taking advantage of course, excellent care and luxury accommodations for active seniors. But when those plot twists in life happens, health challenges, death, other things like that of people that you care about, you want to know that you have the place and the support team and the living environment that is here to take care of you, support you, and walk you through whatever life throws at your way. And 100% we can say McKnight Place gives that to you as a resident, as a family member of somebody who lives there. Start the conversation today at McKnightPlace.com, 314-993-3333.
I've been asked to say a word about Allen Roofing. That's not fair. I can't say it in a word. If they just did roofs, I probably could. I would say roofs. But they can do siding. They could replace it. They could put leaf guards on. They could reattach it like they had to do for me, where my gutter kind of came away from the house. Siding issues, they carry James Hardy, the very best. They can fix that too. Basically, if it's something you could see from the outside of your home or your office, they can fix it, improve it, or replace it. Look, it's probably the biggest investment you're ever going to make. Protect it. Absolutely. And nobody does it better than Allen Roofing. Check out all the reviews online. Everybody else seems to know. I shouldn't have to tell you these things. For all of your roofing needs and so much more, Allen Roofing. Find them online at aroofing.net.
Mom, what do you always say? There's nothing sadder than jewelry that sits in a drawer. That's why we are proud to offer jewelry repair on site at Newsteaders Fine Jewelry. We know that your jewelry is important to you, and we take that part of our job very seriously. Visit us at Doherty Ferry in Big Bend or learn more at wowdiamonds.com.
I trust Pella Windows and Doors of St. Louis with my home when it matters most. They are the local experts who know our area best. For a limited time, get 20% off Pella projects. Call 833-87-PELLA or visit Pella.com/radio to learn more. Restrictions apply. See site for details.
You know that honey-do list isn't getting any shorter, and you got to make a dent into it. Can I recommend going somewhere to helping you out? Schnarr's Hardware. Schnarr's Hardware has 2 locations, one in Webster and one in Ladue. One great family, 2 great hardware stores. Schnarr's Hardware. When you walk in with that list, you say, okay, I think I know how to do this one, but these 3 I need help on. And you know what? The people behind the counter at Schnarr's Hardware, that's what they do best. They have the expertise, so they can help you with electrical, help you with plumbing, painting, really anything at Schnarr's Hardware. They're small, they're compact, but it's that friendly neighborhood hardware store that has been the way it's been here in America for years, right? You remember when your grandfather took you to the hardware store. That's Schnarr's Hardware. The popcorn and the advice are free. So when you go to Schnarr's Hardware, 2 locations in Webster and in Ladue. Don't forget about the website, schnarrshardware.com. So for all of your hardware needs and that honey-do list, Schnarr's Hardware or schnarrshardware.com.
Why'd I go to the doctor? Working on the farm, my heart kept skipping a beat. I didn't think much of it, but my daughters made me get checked out. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit notimetowait.com. Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
ZipRecruiter. The Bomarito Automotive Group is Missouri's #1 automotive group. They've sold over 1 million vehicles by giving you a better price, a better selection, and more for your trade. You can shop them online, see their entire inventory at bomarito.com.
Oh, what a great text. There's many, many, many. I wish we could read all of them, but from the Royal Banks, Missouri, text line 314, Montebello Pizza is so good. I've been married for 61 years. Congratulations. Wow. Awesome. This amazing little place was our hangout before and after we got married. You need to go there. We will. What a great suggestion for sure. Also from the 314, great pizza, long waits, call ahead for sure.
Congratulations on that 61-year marriage. That's awesome. Now, I want to address the capitalized. He put it all in caps, and I have no problem with that at all. But if I ever do that, I get scolded right away. it's just a lot easier. It's all caps. You don't have to worry about anything.
Right, but then people say stop yelling.
Yeah, exactly. Like when it first became a thing, like emails and all stuff, I would do it a lot, and I'd get this response all the time. I go, I'm not yelling. I'm just putting it all in caps. But I appreciate this person for being old school.
And how about Liz, a favorite listener, who said, Jill, don't forget Rick Springfield's "What Kind of Fool Am I" when we're listing the good songs with "fool" in the title, for sure. And from the 573, from our friend Grandmere, sadly, when you're talking about church attendance, the age group that was not raised with religion as part of their lives, I'm glad they're turning back to the Lord. From the 618, higher church attendance, a good thing. We could use a dose of enlightenment, faith, and spirituality during such chaotic and worrisome times. I do think, I think a lot of the division that we have in our country is because people misplaced what they worshipped into political doctrines, and I don't think that necessarily does everybody any good, whether you're on the right or the left. If that's what if you're worshiping, and at the feet of a particular person or a particular dogma or doctrine around politics, because it's going to switch around on you real fast, and I don't think it's a great place to hang your hat.
So I'm buddies with a pastor, and he said it's kind of like a catch-22 with younger people and church attendance and technology. Like the digital landscape, Joe, for instance, has really opened the door for young people to be at home and just watch the service. And believe me, you can get a lot out of watching a service at home. Maybe not quite the impact of being there, but it also makes it easier for kids to never go to church. But it's kind of like a catch-22.
Right, and so then the argument is, does it matter whether you're in the church, or is that just an old tradition? I think we're better humans when we interact with each other in face-to-face situations, but also maintaining the physical building of a church building is extraordinarily expensive and has been doomed a lot of churches that have been out there, because that's a difficult thing. I have to say, though, during COVID and being able to watch churches digitally, I have a brother-in-law who's a pastor up in Des Moines, Eric, who's one of my favorite humans and closest friends. And so for me to be able to tune in to his services from afar is meaningful. And my mom's funeral, we were able to stream it, and we had friends and family and people from parishes that my dad served in Canada and in Massachusetts all over watching that service and being part of it, and you wouldn't have been able to without that technology.
Yeah, that is really cool. And I tell you, my favorite podcast is Rick Warren, his Daily 20 Minutes. It's really good stuff. How about this? We have 39 people becoming Catholic this Saturday. I'd love to know what church that is. That's really cool. Somebody said, so sorry for yelling, didn't mean it that way. No, I did not take it that way. It's cool that you actually go old school with the caps.
And you know what, most of my texts I do by dictating them.
Oh, you do?
But you don't, ever.
No. I'm old school.
Why?
Maybe I can't figure it out. No. I have enough problem with spellings myself, and when I say it, there seems to be more problems.
I will say that's probably why my texts are far more verbose than yours, right? Yours are very short and to the point.
Verbose would connote that you're being boring. I think all of your texts are enlightening and pithy and fun.
Well, I just have a lot more words in my text than yours. Usually are things like K.
Yeah.
Got it.
Thumbs up.
Sarah at 10:30 done. But I'm terrible at. I'm so slow, and I make so many mistakes when I'm doing it by hand. That's why I've moved.
So almost all of yours are with your voice.
Yes. And then do you ever send somebody, the other thing we can do on our text is actually send a recording like an old-fashioned voicemail?
I haven't done that, but that's not a bad idea.
My physician clients, I recommend do that all the time, because nobody listens to voicemail, but sometimes it's too long to text out, or you want to get a certain tone of voice that you don't think will come across right in a text. And I find sending those actual recordings a good way to overcome those two things.
All right, let's take a short time out. We have a movie to talk about. Fargo Tarkan will be in the house. It's our Back to the Feature segment. We'll be right back.
It's Sarah Haynes from The View. Today, stronger immunity and better nutrition are more important than ever. That's why Eggland's Best gives you and your family more. Compared to ordinary eggs, Eggland's Best provides 6 times more vitamin D and 10 times more vitamin E, all helping you to maintain a strong immune system and better overall health. Plus, you get all that farm-fresh, delicious taste. These are no ordinary times, so why choose an ordinary egg? Only Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
When you pay for tree work, you want to be sure you're getting the most for your hard-earned money. That's why you should always use the ISA-certified arborist at River City Tree Service in Baldwin, Missouri. Hi, I'm Steve with River City Tree Service, and we've been the go-to tree service since 2008. Tree removal, tree trimming, storm damage, deadwood removal, stump grinding, and more. Give River City Tree Service a call for all your tree service needs at 314-270-8071. That's 314-270-8071. River City Tree Service.
When you want to send flowers to a loved one for a birthday, anniversary, or that special occasion, call your friends at Walter Knoll Florist. Walter Knoll is family-owned and operated and offers custom designs by expert designers. A huge inventory and selection that only the largest florist can offer, with quality and care that no grocery store florist can meet. They have several locations in the St. Louis metro area to serve you. Order online today at WKF.com. That's WKF.com. Walter Knoll Florist, your personal florist since 1883.
At Maryville University, we power dreams, not just degrees. For nearly 150 years, we've empowered graduates to build successful careers. At Maryville, expect a rigorous, technology-driven, mentor-inspired education in a diverse and inclusive learning environment. We help you take it to the next level, no matter what field you choose. Now is the time to turn your ambition into action and transform your dream into reality. Start your journey at maryville.edu.
St. Louis is home to more than 80,000 University of Missouri St. Louis alumni, where they drive the region's economy and contribute to its social and cultural well-being. At UMSOL, more is what moves us. Find your more at more.umsl.edu.
This is the Big 550 KTRS St. Louis, Ladue, Glen Carbon, University City, Edwardsville, Manchester, Wood River, Grafton, and the world.
Streaming live at KTRS.com.
Depend on it.
From ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. Outside the court in Washington, D.C., emotions are running high. Demonstrators rallying outside the Supreme Court as justices inside hear arguments over the Trump administration's push to end birthright citizenship. President Trump even making a brief appearance at the arguments.
At times, the court's conservatives seemed just as skeptical as the liberals of the idea that children born to people here illegally are not U.S. citizens. Justice Samuel Alito noted their parents might be subject to removal, but they've still established roots here.
And that raises a humanitarian problem.
The Trump administration's lawyer pointed to the concept of birth tourism, but he was unable to explain how common it is for foreigners to fly here just to have their babies. When he said it's now a new world, Chief Justice John Roberts said this.
Well, it's a new world. It's the same Constitution.
Stephen Portnoy, ABC News, Washington.
Tonight, President Trump will deliver a nationwide address, 9 p.m. Eastern, on the war with Iran. It comes after more than 4 weeks of U.S. military strikes targeting Iran's leadership and military capabilities. Iran continuing to block virtually all ship traffic through the Strait of Hormuz. That's leading to oil prices to skyrocket globally, along with gas prices.
President Trump claimed on social media Wednesday that Iran has asked for a ceasefire, but he says he would only consider that if Iran makes the Strait of Hormuz, quote, open, free, and clear. The president adds, quote, until then, we are blasting Iran into oblivion. Just yesterday, the president said he believed the strait would, quote, automatically open when the U.S. ends its military operations against Iran. He also said Tuesday that Iran doesn't need to make a deal with the U.S. in order to stop the ongoing strikes. Karen Travers, ABC News, the White House.
Excitement building for tonight's Artemis 2 launch in Florida. Astronauts preparing to orbit around the moon and back on a 10-day journey and test flight, marking NASA's first moon mission in more than 50 years. You're listening to ABC News.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Ask yourself this question. Is it really worth holding on to that timeshare that you know you need to get rid of? Here's the truth. The average maintenance fee just went up over 17%. That could have been 117%, and there's nothing you can do about it. When you buy a timeshare, you give them a blank check for annual maintenance and assessment fees. I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. For 15 years, I've helped over 50,000 families cancel their time timeshare. Not sell it, not transfer it, cancel it. Did you buy a timeshare because they told you it was a great investment and your maintenance fees would never go up? That's a lie. Are you ready to get rid of your timeshare once and for all? Simply call us and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit that explains all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your timeshare exit kit. 800-979-3535. That's 800-979-3535. 800-979-3535.
This is KTRS News. I'm Sobe Bay. A home in Berkeley is the focus in the 2008 disappearance of a teenager. Police say they received a tip that 16-year-old Shamika Cozy may be buried in the backyard of the home on Jefferson Avenue. Police dug up the yard yesterday and discovered bone fragments, which will undergo a medical examination to determine their origin. Police say the current resident is not considered connected to the case and has been cooperative. Jury selection is underway today in the trial of an accused serial rapist from Baldwin. KTRS's Jill Enders has the story.
Jury selection began this morning for Yahya Meli, who is charged on multiple counts, including first-degree rape and kidnapping. This is for allegedly raping several women he met on dating apps where he went by the name of John. The alleged crimes began in February of 2023 and continued through February of 2025. The trial is expected to begin on Monday. Jill Enders, KTRS News.
The St. Louis Metropolitan Police Department is reporting historic low homicide numbers. St. Louis ended the month of March with 20 homicides. This is the fewest number of homicides since 2006, a 20-year low. During the same time frame last year, there were 25 homicides. Missouri Attorney General Catherine Hanaway has filed a lawsuit against CBD American Shaman and associated companies. Hanaway says Missourians, including those who struggle with opioid addiction, are being misled into believing that 7-OH is predictable, safe, and natural. Hanaway's lawsuit claims the company is not adequately disclosing the risks associated with the drugs. Plans have been announced for this month's Earth Day Festival. Details from KTRS's Steve Potter.
Billed as the largest Earth Day celebration in the Midwest, St. Louis Earth Day will feature not only an array of live entertainment, but also around 200 local businesses, organizations, and artists, all offering sustainable products, hands-on activities, educational resources, and plant-based food. This year's theme is Planet versus Plastic. The idea is to challenge plastic pollution and inspire more sustainable choices. Local leaders will be honored at an awards ceremony. There will be a plastic-free scavenger hunt, and at Earth Day 365's Climate Education Tent, you can learn about the root causes of climate change. The 2026 St. Louis Earth Day Festival will be held on the grounds of the Muni and Forest Park on Saturday and Sunday, April 25th and 26th, from 11 a.m. until 5 p.m. both days. Steve Potter, KTRS News.
This KTRS Business Minute is brought to you by Walter Knoll Florist, the place for all your floral needs. Place your order anytime at WKF.com. St. Louis business leader Richard Chaffetz has joined the ownership group of the NBA's Portland Trailblazers. On Monday, the NBA Board of Governors approved the sale of controlling interest in the Trailblazers to a group led by investors Tom Dundon. The Chaffetz Group has partnered with Dundon in acquiring the Trailblazers. Chaffetz will serve on the franchise's board of directors and as the head of the franchise's executive hiring committee. Time now for our market report, brought to you by JBL Financial. Tune in to Straight Talk on Retirement Saturday mornings 9 to 11. Wall Street looking up today. Dow Jones is up 447 points to 46,789. NASDAQ jumped 362 to 21,953. S&P 500 is up 76 points to 6,605. KTRS Sports, the Blues' long road trip continues tonight in Los Angeles as they take on the Kings. The Note had their 4-game winning streak snapped earlier this week in San Jose. And check out the big sports show tonight. You'll hear from Mizzou head football coach Eli Drinkwitz with Brendan Weesey. It all starts at 7 p.m. right here on the Big 550, your home for the Tigers. KTRS weather today cloudy with scattered storms off and on, tapering off this evening. High today of 70. Tonight, rain continues, overnight low of 63. Tomorrow, potential severe weather during the day, including hail and strong storms possibly. High tomorrow of 79. Friday, intervals of clouds of rain and sun. Friday night, Saturday morning, rain, high of 63. And Easter Sunday morning, clouds give way to sunshine, high high of 58 Sunday. Right now we have 55 degrees. I'm Sobe Bay, KTRS News, the talk of St. Louis.
All right. Welcome to Back to the Feature with our star guest, Tariq Khan, to talk about a movie that was once named one of the 100 greatest American films ever, Fargo. Quick little thing. The two most stunning reactions after watching the movie and hearing their reaction is my dad, after watching Death Wish, he was like this guy who never said a curse word, and he came back. All the kids were worried. He saw this movie, and he said, God, I love that. We were like shocked. And then Jill the other day, the daughter of a pastor, talking about this very violent movie, saying, gosh, I just loved it. I was like, when I was watching it, I was thinking about Jill and all the violence, thinking, boy, she's not going to like this. And she loved it.
Yeah, but when it came out, I have to go back contextually, right? Like when it came back out in 1996, I'm in my late 20s, and I'd never seen a movie that could somehow kind of shock your senses, but also make you laugh. And it was so cleverly done and so out of the box compared to anything else I'd seen. And rewatching it again, Tariq, see what you think. I couldn't believe in an hour and 38 minutes they could develop the characters that well, move this crazy plot in so many different ways, and still have these sort of quiet, sit in the booth at the restaurant scenes kind of moments that made you laugh out loud.
Yes, great points. And when you think about it, when you think about the term black comedy, really, nobody ever did it better than the Coen brothers with Fargo. I mean, of course, they had Racing Arizona, which had come out in 1987, which was, I think, was another black comedy, very good. But Fargo really did raise the bar, and at the time, critics felt like this was something we'd never really seen before. And yeah, like you pointed out, the way that they introduced the characters, set up the plot, made those characters so layered, so fascinating, and at the same time kept the plot unraveling until the very end, and everything came together and just climaxed so perfectly. It just really was something that critics hadn't seen before. The Academy voters loved it as well. And it is considered one of the greatest films of all time, one of the best black comedies by far.
Frances McDormand, really special. Elaborate.
Yes, well, it's funny. She, of course, had been nominated for Best Supporting Actress of 1988 for Mississippi Burning. She had those great scenes with Gene Hackman in that film. And in Fargo, she had the lead role of Marge Gunderson. And it's funny because she didn't actually appear on screen until about 30 minutes into the film. She did have top billing for it. But from the moment she was on screen, she made that character so iconic, just so unbelievable. Her delivery of those lines, her facial expressions, her mannerisms, her movements. I mean, she was just perfection. And even though her screen time was actually limited, only about 27 minutes on screen, she was unforgettable. And the film had come out in March of 96. It became a big Oscar contender, and she won Best Actress up against some very tough competition, like Brenda Blethyn in Secrets and Lies, and Diane Keaton in Marvin's Room, and Emily Watson in Breaking the Waves. And the response when she won was just absolutely glorious.
Did they win Best Picture? I can't remember now.
Yes, good question. It had 7 nominations, including Best Picture. It won Best Actress and Original Screenplay, but lost Best Picture to The English Patient, which really swept that year. So I think another year Fargo would have had a much better chance, but up against The English Patient, it was just too much to overcome.
It's almost like you were choosing a life philosophy that would sully you if you chose Fargo over The English Patient as best movie. I totally get that. I think you'll like this from the Royal Banks of Missouri text line. Tariq, I grew up in Minnesota, Jill and Iowa, of course. Jerry Lundegaard looks like my mom's side of the family. The only thing they got wrong in the movie was using night crawlers to ice fish. You would always use minnows or grub.
Okay, very good, very good. Yeah, by the way, the casting of the film really was genius because you think about it, no other actors, I think, could have played those parts the way that William H. Macy and Frances McDormand and even Steve Buscemi and Peter Stormare. I mean, they were all just so perfect in those roles. You can't imagine anybody else playing those parts. And if the casting had not been as good as it was, the film wouldn't have worked. So it really was genius on part of the Coen brothers.
Peter Stormare. Let's talk about him. He plays this just hideous creature in this. And he's so cool, though. And, he's got a little Bruce Willis in him, I think. Why didn't he do more? Because he played this role so well.
Right, yeah, I know. It's funny because he was terrifying, and he didn't really say very much. And just as he sat there, the glances you saw in his face, just the anticipation of how he's going to react, I mean, just incredible. Especially that scene towards the end when Steve Buscemi comes in and tells him they split the money and he's going to take the car, and then he walks out and you see Peter Stormare's the look on his face, and then of course he goes and he attacks him with the axe. I mean, it was just so shocking. But yeah,
I did look away during that part, and also the wood chipper scene. I did look away. I'm not going to lie.
It's funny. When I lived in New York City, actually, I used to see him around my neighborhood a lot, Peter Stormare, and you just see him. I was kind of scared of him after seeing Fargo. So you're right. He's been in a number of films since then, but for some reason his career never took off. He's never been nominated for an Oscar. He hasn't been the big star we might have thought that film would have made. So good question, Frank.
Yeah, it really was. Just is such an interesting and unique screenplay. I can see why that just sort of turned Hollywood on its head in its own way. I feel like watching it after all this time that it definitely still stands the test of time. Would you agree that all these 30 years later it does?
Yes, it does. And I'll be honest, Fargo, when I first saw it, I didn't love it the way some people did. I was kind of turned off by the violence. I mean, I felt so bad for the poor wife. I just felt so sympathy for her, and when she was kidnapped, and I was hoping that she would at least be released at the end. And of course, she did. She was killed, and so I was taken aback by some of the violence myself, and I think other people might have felt the same way. But at the same time, the way it was done, again, the writing, the directing, the acting, it still did come together as a really, really just incredible black comedy. So, and actually, seeing it again for the first time in over years, I actually appreciated it more this time than I did the first time I saw it.
So one of the coolest scenes was the lunch that Frances had with her former high school classmate, where he tries to sit on her side, and then he talks about his wife dying, and she didn't die. I mean, that was great
the
movie making.
Cringeworthiness of that whole thing was on a scale of 1 to 10 was at a 12. It was so good.
Absolutely, yes. I mean, really, as an audience member, you just felt so awkward for both of them. And of course, yes, when he went over and sat next to her, and she said, "Oh, please, sit over there. I'd prefer that." I mean, yes, it was just so tense. But that scene, I think, though, was it not very key? Because later on in the film, when she realizes that that Mike, that he had been lying about his past, and it made her actually think about her interactions with Jerry Lundegaard, William H. Macy's character, and that's when she went back to question him. And so that scene actually, even though it seemed very sort of out of place, actually was very important to the development of the story.
Yeah, it was. And also the fact that it gave her character some depth, because here she is, her spidey sense was really good for all the other ways. Here she is supposed to be this small town, kind of simple police officer who's getting to the heart of something fishy in these murders, but yet she kind of missed the fact that this guy was clearly on the make with her.
Right, yes. By the way, we have not talked about the fact that here we have a film where the character she's introduced, and, she's 7 months pregnant, and we're wondering, okay, when's the big scene going to happen? And when the film ends, they're of course looking forward to the birth of the child, but we don't see it on camera. Mm-hmm. And so the choice actually to make Marge Gunderson pregnant and see her going through, basically on this trail, on this hunt, for these killers
by herself.
Exactly right.
But that's part of the ridiculousness of it that makes it great.
Right. Yes. And of course, all the scenes where she's eating, she's going to Hardee's and then eating Arby's, and there's the buffet, and she's constantly hungry, and that made it so. It was hilarious. It really was, I think, genius just making that decision, having the character being pregnant, and it really added so much, I think, to the character and the film as a whole.
And John Carroll Lynch, who's played some roles where he is just horrible in terms of being a killer, he's just perfect in this. Like the dopey husband from from Fargo.
Oh yeah, and he's so sympathetic, and you can sense those two that they are such a perfect match, and they love each other so much. And of course, towards the end there, where he indicates that he's won this contest and he got the 2-cent stamp, and he's kind of disappointed because he didn't get the big one, and she says, oh no, of course everyone needs those those stamps, and the genuine love you see between those two, it really was heartwarming, and I think really added some sweetness to the film, which we really needed, especially towards the end after everything that happened.
And Connor, you mentioned, so we were talking about it yesterday, that you rewatch this film every few years because it is such a great movie.
I do love this movie. This is one of my favorites, I would say.
And why is that?
I don't know. It's just really good. I love the kind of the black comedy aspect of it. It's serious, but it's funny, and I really enjoy this movie.
So where would this rank in terms of great roles for William Macy, who recently played Jack Buck? I guess Boogie Nights is one of his biggest roles, but this may be his best.
Oh, definitely. In fact, it's funny. This was his only Oscar nomination, for Best Supporting Actor. He lost to Cuba Gooding Jr. in Jerry Maguire, a film we discussed a few months earlier. But he was sensational in this part. He really fought hard to get the part because they were looking at him for another smaller role, but he wanted the part of Jerry Lundegaard, and he really had to fight for it. And his casting was great. It's funny, he was nominated for supporting actor. He actually had a little more screen time than McDormand, who won Best Lead Actress. So it's kind of interesting because wouldn't you actually say that he was a leading role in the film?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Right, but he was nominated supporting and lost. I think in hindsight, if Academy voters could do it all over again, he might have won because he was just brilliant in that role.
Yeah, when the guys from the loan company were calling, oh yeah, okay, yeah, real good. I'll get that right to you,
great,
right to you. Oh my gosh, you didn't get it? Okay, I'll fax it up there. And it was just so, you could just hear, you knew he was lying, but then with that giant smile on his face, that Midwest nice way of trying to cover his tracks was impressive.
Oh, and a nice little touch with Jose Feliciano.
Exactly, I forgot exactly.
Who sang the national anthem at the '67 World Series here in Busch Stadium. Yeah.
Oh, good trivia. By the way, Jill, question for you because you're from Iowa. The accents, from what I understand, they were intentionally exaggerated. Mm-hmm. That's what I understood. What was your take on the accents?
Yeah, so you have to get into pretty far rural Minnesota before you're going to hear people that have it quite that strong. And I thought Frances McDormand did a pretty good job. Toward the end, she slipped into more of a Chicago accent.
Did she?
Her A's got really hard, and and not quite as much on the O's. So I thought it was good, but only, if you go to Minneapolis, you're not going to hear people talking exactly that way. Just like if you go to Missouri and in St. Louis, you don't hear people with a southern twang, and you get out of state, and we do. So there's a difference in dialect depending on where you are. So I have been to Brainerd many times, though, and the Paul Bunyan thing, that was so funny that's where they chose to have it.
One time years ago, I was actually in Minnesota, and I was in the Twin Cities. I made a point of driving up to Brainerd because I wanted to say I've been to Brainerd, so it was so fascinating. So would you say then in places like Brainerd, elsewhere in Minnesota, those thick Minnesota accents, like in Fargo, those do exist?
Sure, you betcha. Okay, yeah, real good. Yeah.
Okay.
I got a text here. Please ask Tarek if he was a fan of the first 2 seasons of the Fargo TV series with Billy Bob in year 1, and was it Ted Danson in year 2? Were you a fan of the TV series?
Yes, Billy Bob, he was fantastic. Yes, that was terrific. And it's funny because Fargo, again, the film was so short, a little over 90 minutes, so the chance to expand upon that, as they did with the TV series, that was terrific.
Yeah, in terms of trivia, by the way, was that the shortest film to ever win the Oscar?
No, because it didn't actually win Best Picture, Fargo. So, Driving Miss Daisy, I believe, still has the record for shortest film to win the Oscar for Best Picture, which that was just under 90, just 90 minutes, I believe. So yeah, but The English Patient was what 3 hours that won Best Picture that year. So they always joke that the longer the film is, the more likely it is to win Best Picture. So.
Cost $7 million to make this and made $60 million. So it was a good bet, but apparently the folks at the movie at Gramercy were convinced that they could do something clever. They weren't convinced that they could do something that was wildly commercially successful. Because even though people loved Raising Arizona, that was still considered somewhat niche. Is that accurate, you think?
Oh yeah, I think so. Yes. Really, in a sense, on paper, Fargo, even at the time, was kind of a tough sell. This black comedy set in Minnesota, and really, William H. Macy, Frances McDormand, they weren't really big stars, big box office draws. So it was on paper, a gamble, but one that certainly paid off. And by the way, even though it lost Best Picture, The English Patient, I think. in this day, the new academy that we have, I think that Fargo would have won. The English Patient was more of a traditional choice, like Lawrence of Arabia, or The Bridge on the River Kwai, one of these great epic films that used to win. But these days, I think Fargo.
10 Commandments.
Exactly right. Fargo, I think, would have won the Oscar for Best Picture, in this day and age.
All right, what's next for us movie-wise?
Well, I'm mad as hell. I'm not going to take it anymore. So I think we're going to revisit the classic Network, released 50 years ago, winner of 4 Academy Awards, including 3 acting Oscars. Just an unforgettable film about the television news business, and was really, I think...
Are you guys sure you're not going to have PTSD by watching this and
probably,
seeing how things used to be?
That's part of the fun, right? So, yes, but again, 50 years old Network, I think would be great discussion.
He won Best Actor, right?
Peter Finch?
Yeah.
You bet he did. He had passed away, but he won, yes.
Was that over Stallone? Was that?
It was, yes. Yeah, I know.
Rocky won Best Picture.
Yes, exactly.
Wow. Very good stuff. Tariq Khan, we love having you here. Back to the Future, of course, twice a month. We rewatch a classic movie that's having a major anniversary this year. Network is the next one. We hope you guys will watch along and join the conversation with us on Tax Day, April 15th. We'll be right back after this.
I'm Mark Cantor. Here's why you can count on Cantor Injury Law.
My name is Michelle. I'm a litigation paralegal at Cantor Injury Law, and you can count on Cantor because we are smart, honest, and hardworking.
I'm Kevin Glenn, and a partner here at Cantor Injury Law. You can count on Cantor because we make your cause our cause.
No fee if no recovery. Please visit CantorInjuryLaw.com or call us at 314-628-9999.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Game day comfort steps up to the plate Saturday, April 11th, when the Cardinals face the Boston Red Sox downtown. That night, fans can score a Cardinals dugout hoodie presented by Mercy, built for cool nights, late innings, and early season baseball. It's a classic, easy-to-wear layer you'll reach for all year long. Available in medium or extra large while supplies last. Don't miss this spring matchup. Get tickets and details at cardinals.com/promotions.
Every Sunday home game is a Kids Sunday at Busch Stadium. From Team Fred Birding games to a kid-friendly DJ, ice cream, and family-favorite activities. Sundays are built for young fans. Plus, select Sundays feature kids run the bases after the game. It's a day made for smiles, memories, and Cardinals baseball together. Make Sundays your family tradition at Busch Stadium. Tickets and details at cardinals.com/KidsSunday.
This is Mariah, third generation at Newsteaders Fine Jewelry. Buying an engagement ring can be intimidating. At Newsteaders, we ensure complete understanding of your purchase. We offer a choice in both lab and mine-grown diamonds and are able to work with any budget. Let our family help educate you on your choice at Big Ben and Doherty Ferry or at wowdiamonds.com.
It's the HW Kia Comedy Club. A lot of people are suffering from gas pains right now. No, not that gas. The kind you get when you pull up to the pump. You look at the price and your wallet says, enough already. I mean, the last time I filled up my car, the pump asked if I wanted to finance it. But the cure for gas pains? HW Kia. You can drive a new 2026 Kia Sportage Hybrid, 43 miles per gallon combined, plus get 0% financing for 48 months and make no payments for 6 months. Credit giving you cramps? Nobody works harder to help get you approved than HW Kia. HW Kia, the cure for gas pains and the best Kia buying experience in the Lou. Manchester Road in the heart of West County, HWKia.com. And remember, Big D wants to see ya in a Kia.
Kia finance to well-qualified buyers, 2083 to 1000 finance plus tax, title, license, and admin fee, ends 4/30/26.
Country Club Car Wash is the best car wash in town. How do I know? I have an unlimited monthly pass to Country Club Car Wash, and it's fantastic. They're touchless, and you get free vacuums at select locations. Each and every day on the morning show, we will be giving away one free Country Club Car Wash to the text of the day. And each week, we'll be giving away a grand prize, 1 month of free Country Club Car Washes to the text of the week. We'll see you on the show, and we'll see you at Country Club Car Wash, cccwstl.com. Your dentures no longer fit? Maybe you're missing a tooth or several teeth. Visit Dr. Bowen for Simply Secure Dentures and Dental Implants, the cutting-edge, high-quality dental implants that replace all the teeth in your mouth, and it starts as low as $7,000, not the $35,000 that others charge. If you're only missing a few teeth, Dr. Bowen can permanently replace those with something you don't have to take in and out of your mouth. Learn more at simplysecuredentures.com and get the care you need and the teeth you want at Bowen Dental Care or simplysecuredentures.com.
Carney, Buck.
Tuesday on the program, Guestrant Tuesday.
I love it. It's music to my ears. We'll have Four Hands Brewery in studio.
Guestrant, by the way, the same person that came up with the internet's for looking and AAA's for booking.
That's not true. But we'll also talk sports with Frank Cusimano. Lots of basketball still going on. In fact, it's still March Madness.
Go Five Pond!
John Carney, Julie Buck. Weekdays at noon on KTRS, the talk of St. Louis.
When it comes to your education, one size doesn't fit all. That's why the University of Missouri St. Louis offers exceptional academic programs at the undergraduate, graduate, doctoral, and professional levels to fit any passion, purpose, and schedule. At UMSL, more is what moves us. Find your more at more.umsl.edu.
Want a song?
Around my mind like the song on the radio.
Want a quote? It's the song and quote of the day on the Frank and Jill Show. Right here on the Big 550 KTRS.
Question during the break about what is Steve Buscemi most known for. Now, according to Big Screen Rant Television and Movies, Big Lebowski is number 4. Number 3 is Monsters, Inc. Number 2.
Which do you remember? Does it say what voice, what character he voiced?
Yeah, he's the bad guy. He's Randall, the little lizard.
Number 2, this is the one I guessed would be Sopranos, and number 1 is the movie we just saw as Carl Showalter, Fargo.
Can you describe him? He's funny looking. He's so funny looking.
Yeah.
That's a great scene in the movie. So I mentioned yesterday was one of those days where I think things on the radio show sort of fired on all cylinders, feeling good, leaving the station, and then the wheels sort of fell off the bus. Actually, literally almost fell off my car. Anytime you blow a tire on the interstate and then it's smoking by the time you stopped, you know that your day is in for a bit of a plot twist. And so as I was waiting to climb up into the cab of the giant tow truck, with flatbed tow truck that came to pick me up, the song that kept playing in my head is this one. Let me see if you guys can relate. You Van Morrison fan at all?
Very good. I love that song.
Yeah, I can definitely, especially, sometimes we just want a quiet evening at home on a rainy day. We just put on Van Morrison Greatest Hits and play it, and it's just a good way to sort of take the temperature down and relax a bit. So that was the song in my head.
That type of evening. Sounds good.
Yeah, exactly. The one that quote unquote normal people have.
Yeah. Sounds like a good thing. I ought to try that.
How, out of your entire career as a revered TV sports broadcaster, how many years did you work any kind of a day shift where you did have evenings at home?
Well, there was a stretch there where I'd get 3 evenings. Yeah, 3 or 4. Yeah.
So you worked weekends and then had 3 day shifts during the week?
Yes. I mean, but that would, obviously move into night stuff too. But there was, semi-regular basis where I was home 3 days a week.
Would it have been like around the time the kids were in school? So that was a nice core.
Perfect, yes. And every night we were either at a gym, a driving range, or a batting cage. Yeah, so I was never home.
If you had to guess, starting at what age was that your life until when? Obviously until the kids were in college, because they all went on to pursue sports in college.
Oh, I probably had about 12 years of that off and on, getting 3 days a week, a good chunk of the time, which was great.
So when the kids were little, they did the same kind of like play in the Olivet League soccer or whatever or down in Afton, whatever the Parks and Rec was, and they all got pretty serious by the time they were in junior high school?
I'd say younger than that. Yeah. I mean, every night we were out.
Wow. And you coached how many different sports for him?
1,500 games in basketball. We counted it up once. And then
all three kids?
Yes. And then all those freaking golf tournaments, and then baseball just kind of helped. So, yep.
Wow.
Wouldn't change it.
Good. Speaking of thinking about wouldn't change it means that it's part of your happiness quotient in your life. Is
Absolutely.
Those years with your kids, you were able to marry something that you were passionate about, your own athletic experience, covering sports with your kids' passions as well. Arthur Brooks, of course, he's a Harvard professor, considered one of the leading researchers on the science of happiness. And I recently heard an interview where he talked about something that I hadn't heard that's changing generationally about what makes us happy or unhappy. Here's what he had to say. So I thought that was interesting, right?
Yeah.
I thought, okay, if I asked my grandparents, who were all just hardworking, interesting people that had a big impact on my life, what was keeping them up at night or causing them angst, I can guarantee none of the four of them would have answered, I'm not sure what the meaning or purpose of my life is. But I think if you ask people of my generation and younger, and it's certainly one of the things that comes up most frequently in coaching sessions that I have with everybody from surgeons, physicians to young adults.
So you're saying that back then they weren't as reflective or introspective?
Oh, I think, yeah. I mean, it was you have your job, you have your life, you take care of the needs in front of you, and you have
didn't
values.
think about yourself.
And you didn't think about how it was fitting into the larger picture of whether, your life had the same existential purpose or meaning, I guess. I mean, I'm sure that there's many people who did, but at least it wasn't something that people articulated as that it kept them up at night or kept them from being happy. What do you think?
Yeah, well, I don't think I ever heard the words self-fulfillment out of my grandma or grandpa, or even out of my mom or dad. You're right. And I think it does speak to that society or that generation being just more selfless.
Mm-hmm. But if somebody is losing sleep because they want to have a purpose or meaning or have their life make a difference, there's a selflessness there. But your point is that the fact that they're thinking about what that is to the point where it's making them unhappy is perhaps selfish.
Yeah, that's well stated.
Yeah, interesting. What do you guys think? Royal Banks of Missouri text line 84126.
How about this one? This other one. Have you ever got sucked in on an April Fool's joke?
Oh, that's great. From the Royal Banks of Missouri text line. I mean, when we were kids, we would do stuff like put salt in the sugar bowl. And since we were in the generation that my mom wouldn't give us sugar cereals, but we scooped like 4 tablespoons of sugar on our Cheerios every morning. That was something we did. One year, my sister handed me the milk and said the lid was on tight, and it wasn't. So I poured the gallon of milk. But those are the only things I can think of. Have you ever been?
The only one I can remember is in 2000, the year after Kurt Warner won the MVP. I came up with an idea of because he had all these broken hands and all these broken bones in his hand, and he wasn't really playing very often. So we flip-flopped the video, and the story was, and it ran for 1:20, that Kurt Warner will now become a left-handed quarterback. And so he comes down to Channel 5, we got this grass area, and he's throwing the ball with his right hand, but we flipped the video, so it looks like he's a left-handed quarterback, and he's throwing the ball beautifully. And then we had him comment about it. He goes, yeah, I just been having trouble with my right hand. I just think this is the way to go. And next Monday, when we start practice, I'm going to be there. And it worked it was really good. And then at the end, April Fool's.
So he was willing to play along, which you have to have somebody. I think you almost always need a really good accomplice.
Yes.
To carry it off. How about you guys on the Royal Banks of Missouri text line? What's the worst you ever got taken on an April Fool's joke, or the best one that you ever had? I did not. It wasn't April Fool's, but do you remember everybody was scared, Y2K, that we were going to lose power and that planes were going to fall from the sky? and we had young kids, so we had a bunch of friends over who had young kids, and we were all, and then like the kids and people were going to, just spend the night, have a sleepover at our house, celebrate. And when we got to 11 o'clock East Coast time, which is when everybody thought it was going to happen, John went downstairs and hit the breaker at our house, and then knocked the power out, and everybody looked at each other, and our one friend looked at her husband and said, "I told you we should have filled the bathtub up with water before we left, you idiot." And then the one friend, he said it lasted only 5 seconds. He retired in the Army as a general. He immediately looked around, went to the window, could see other lights in the neighborhood on, and said, "Where's John? This isn't real." And he got it really fast. We only had him going for just about a second, but everybody else said they thought, "Oh man, it's happened."
That is good.
It was not April Fool's, but that's the only time I've ever been able to fool a significant number of people. From the 314, not saying all people are selfish, but I do believe we need more selflessness now. I agree with you 100%. I don't think anybody would disagree with you there. If you're a teacher, you hated April Fool's Day. 1 year, students carried my teacher's desk all the way down to the gym.
Wow, that's gutsy. It's ballsy.
Oh, I know. Can you imagine? Just that's the last thing you need as a teacher, where you're trying to get through, get your curriculum taught, and everybody's not interested in that. Good stuff. Speaking of good stuff, our friend Ryan Raphael, the Medicare man, been taking care of so many of you. When we were talking to him, he said it's just always fun for him to hear people saying, "Hey, I heard you guys talking on KTRS about Medicare," and then all of a sudden I looked at the calendar and it turns out 2026 is the year I'm turning 65, or I've been continuing working after age 65, and it's the year that I think I'm actually going to retire, but I need more information about when I retire, how to get signed up for, and making sure that I have a better understanding of what this Medicare thing is all about. What do we mean by supplements? What do we mean by advantage plans? What the heck does this all mean? Wherever you are in that process, or if somebody in your life maybe fits that criteria, maybe it's a mom, dad, aunt, uncle, all you have to know is one name, and that is Ryan Raphael, the Medicare man. You can just put that right into Google and you'll find him, or better yet, here's his direct line. He is so interested in helping you directly. He gives you his cell phone, 314-368-6808, or visit MedicareManSTL.com. For the right plan, call the Medicare man.
Most people get their income from a job, unemployment, or interest. But those are not the only sources of income. Ryan Polk is an assistant professor of accountancy at Clemson University.
You might receive a gift. You might receive an inheritance. Those are not going to be what we call taxable events. That's not reportable income.
But Polk says the IRS still needs to know about those gifts. Other kinds of tax-free income include child support, workman's comp, and Roth IRA withdrawals. Michelle Franzen, ABC News.
Are you ready for tax season? Don't let the tax changes passed in the Big Beautiful Bill Act catch you off guard. Hi, I'm Jeff Azufal, Senior Tax Strategist and Wealth Advisor at Capital Advisory Group, and the author of the #1 best-selling book on taxes, Keep What's Yours, and my soon-to-be-released book, Keeping What's Yours, the Strategic Tax Planning Guide for the One Big Beautiful Bill. Since 1976, Capital Advisory Group has been saving our clients money year after year. Give us a call at 636-394-5524 or online at capitaladvisorygrp.com.
Is it time to make a change with your bank? Hi, it's Julie Buck for Triad Bank. They are a full-service financial institution with 2 locations, and they've been around since 2005 with a mission to provide a wide range of commercial and personal banking services. Here's their website. It's triadbanking.com.
Heard a great story about the window store the other day. Larry Thornton, the owner of the window store, 314-739-0002 or WSWindow.net, told me a story. He had a customer call him up and say that he wanted to replace his white vinyl windows with darker windows. And so, of course, Larry took care of him. So now they're all darker and sort of brown in color. Looks beautiful. They're energy efficient. There was no upselling. They're great quality windows, and Larry Thornton and the window store took care of him. That's what he does. The price is extremely reasonable, better than the national companies because there aren't the layers of middle management. The window store has been around for 38 plus years. Proud sponsor here at the Big 550 KTRS. Windows, and don't forget about doors. Doors can get really expensive real fast. That's why you want to go with a company you can trust. Installation, price, selection, quality. The window store. Window store. WSWindow.net. 314-739-0002 wswindow.net.
Since 1974, Permajack of St. Louis has been helping residential and commercial owners protect their biggest investment. From successfully solving foundation structural problems to making sure basements remain dry, Permajack has performed tens of thousands of projects on both sides of the river, utilizing state-of-the-art technology, techniques, and equipment. Permajack of St. Louis has done it with honesty and integrity, never recommending anything outside of what you really need. For many repairs, Permajack provides a transferable life of structure warranty, all while Permajack of St. Louis has earned a BBB A+ rating and accreditation for foundation settlement, bowed or buckling walls, cracks in your foundation, walls or bricks, or basement waterproofing. Choose the hometown family-owned team at Permajack of St. Louis. Schedule your free inspection and estimate at permajackofstlewis.com. That's permajackofstlewis.com. Permajack, solid as rock.
And now, KTRS weather.
Shan Scotch with your first alert forecast. Going to be tracking scattered showers and storms throughout the day. Highs close to the 70-degree mark. Then into Thursday, we've issued a first alert weather day as we could see some strong to severe storms during the afternoon hours. Highs climbing close to the 80-degree mark by Friday. Isolated chances of showers and storms becoming more widespread late Friday night all the way into Saturday. Leaving by about the afternoon hours, things are looking a lot more dry into Sunday, a little bit chillier as highs towards the upper 50s for Easter Sunday. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Scotch for the Big 550 KTRS.
Welcome back to the Frank and Jill Show. Time check 11:42 already on a Wednesday morning. It's the first day of April, which of course means that tonight at sundown is the beginning of Passover. So all of our Jewish friends and listeners are getting ready to gear up for that. And we wanted to bring in my friend, Rabbi Brad Horowitz, of course, is the rabbi here in St. Louis for the J, as we like to call it. Rabbi Brad, thanks so much for joining us. And for those who may not have a totally clear understanding of what the significance of Passover is, tell us a little bit about the significance in the Jewish faith for this holiday.
Well, thank you so much for having me, and always happy to talk about my favorite Jewish holiday, which is Passover. Passover is really significant because it's a time where we retell the story of our ancient Israelite family who escaped slavery and were free thanks to Moses and ultimately God. So it's really significant because we know that, there is not freedom in this world for everybody, and so we need to tell that story and find ways to kind of help make the world a better place.
So we just earlier in the program talked about the Catholic religion getting more converts and more people actively involved in the church. How about in the Jewish religion? Where do we stand now with that?
This is a difficult time in the Jewish community, given the rise in anti-Semitism and a lot of unfortunate incidents that have happened. But it's also actually been a time where within the Jewish community, more and more people are engaging and kind of rediscovering their Judaism and getting more connected and kind of leaning in. So it's sort of having this, when there's difficult times, sometimes people come and want to, come back to who they are and get more connected. So we're seeing some of that too.
Rabbi Brad, you were recently honored at the J for 25 years of distinguished service. So congratulations to you for that as well. Do you know anyone who is, through your connections, who's living in Israel right now? And if so, right with the, we understand with the conflict with Iran, of course, things just have continued to be very challenging just in the amount of military conflict that they've undergone, of course, since the terrible October 6th experience from a year and a half ago. What do your either fellow rabbis or people that you know that have spent time there have to say about what life in Israel is like now?
Well, first of all, thank you for recognizing that I was honored. It actually was not from the J. It was from the Jewish Theological Seminary, where I was ordained in New York for 25 years being in the rabbinate. To answer your question, though, I have family in Israel and lots of friends in Israel. And, while we're celebrating Passover here in America with our families in our dining rooms, Many of them actually right now, as we speak, are in safe rooms and shelters because of the missiles coming in from Iran, who are, just indiscriminately sending these missiles into civilian areas. And it's really just a really difficult time. And it's for Jews in Israel and worldwide, it's, on the one hand, it reminds us that, like the story of Passover tells us, we are not free until everybody's free. And right now, a lot of our brethren are suffering, especially in Israel, going through this difficult time. But the good news, I guess, if there is any good news, is that we have the capacity to defend ourselves. We have, Israel and the people's resilience there are showing that we'll come out on the other side at some time.
So, Rabbi Brad, can you give our listening audience an idea what the next 3 or 4 days are going to look like for you, and in terms of the celebration of what's going on with Passover?
Yeah, the tradition for Passover is for families to gather around the table. So tonight is the first, beginning of the holiday, and there's a traditional meal called a seder. The word seder is a Hebrew word which means order, and there's a host of songs and blessings and different symbolic foods that we eat tonight as part of that ritual. And all of it is geared to retelling the story in many different ways. For example, one of the symbols of Passover is the eating of unleavened bread called matzah, to remind us of the Israelites who were enslaved. And when they were fleeing Egypt, there was not enough time for the bread to rise. And even before they had, fled, they were still, living in slavery. And so they didn't have access to, luxurious items, so they were eating unleavened bread then too. So that's just one example. So the Seder happens tonight, and then also for different families in the Jewish community celebrate in different ways. Some do it, go to their synagogue and have a community Seder. Others do it with their family. There are, of course, special prayer services that happen in synagogue during Passover. Passover is actually an 8-day holiday, and one of the main traditions is, I referred to matzah, but to basically not eat any unleavened products the entire 8 days of Passover as a way to kind of remember and the story and to celebrate the holiday. So the big thing that everybody has in common is, there's a lot of restrictions on what we can eat, because that includes, cookies and cakes and bread and pasta and all sorts of things that have leavened products.
But then when it's over, you get to really enjoy all those things with even more appreciation. Is that true?
Oh, yeah. I my family, when I was growing up, we would have big pizza parties at the end of Passover because, we finally could have pizza after 8 days of not having pizza. So, yeah, it's a big deal.
Yep, that's very, very good. Well, Rabbi Brad Horowitz, thanks so much for taking the time so eloquently to share with us how special Passover is for our Jewish friends and family. And by the way, are all 3 boys going to make it back to St. Louis to be able to celebrate the holiday with you guys?
I wish. We just saw them because they were home last week for, some of them for spring break. And so they're back at school, 2 of them, and the other one's in New York. But we actually do have some family in town we're celebrating with, my brother-in-law and his wife and their family and, some other family and friends. So we're going to have a great celebration tonight. We're excited.
Thank you so much. Happy Passover to you and yours. And thanks for taking the time to share with us today. Happy Passover. We'll be right back.
If you or anyone you care about is facing a family legal matter, call Cordell & Cordell today at 1-855-GET-LEGAL.
There's a lot on the line in divorce. This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell, the largest family law firm in the country, with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. But being big doesn't mean less personal or less local. Our attorneys live and work in your community, and as neighbors, they understand the challenges your families face. Divorce touches all areas of your life: your home, savings, retirement, and of course, kids. So when you find yourself facing divorce, you need a partner you can count on.
If you or anyone you care about is facing divorce, contact Cordell & Cordell today. With over 100,000 clients served, we understand the challenges you're facing on a personal level. Call Cordell & Cordell today at 1-855-GET-LEGAL. That's 1-855-GET-LEGAL. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. 600 Kelwood, St. Louis.
This is the story of the one. As a procurement manager for a hospital system, she keeps every facility in her network stocked and ready. That's why she counts on Grainger to be her single source for thousands of products, from disinfectants to lighting, air filters, and more. And with fast, dependable delivery, Grainger helps her keep every facility stocked, safe, and running smoothly. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Taxes was feeling so stuck. Sitting in traffic, squeezing into a parking spot, all to squeeze in getting tax help during your lunch break. Now Taxes is a TurboTax expert who does your taxes for you, while you go about your day getting real-time notifications about their progress and the most money back guaranteed. Now this is Taxes. Intuit TurboTax. See guarantee details at turbotax.com/guarantees. Only available with TurboTax experts. Real-time updates only in iOS mobile app.
Kuna Food Service has been the trusted food supplier in the Midwest since 1918. For over 100 years, Kuna Food Service has been distributing the highest quality food products to some of your favorite restaurants while delivering superior customer service. When a restaurant puts their trust in Kuna Food Service, they get a team that truly cares about their success. That's why at Kuna, they like to say they're big enough to handle it, yet small enough to care. Check them out online at kunafoodservice.com.
It's Sarah Haynes from The View. Today, stronger immunity and better nutrition are more important than ever. That's why Eggland's Best gives you and your family more. Compared to ordinary eggs, Eggland's Best provides 6 times more vitamin D and 10 times more vitamin E, all helping you to maintain a strong immune system and better overall health. Plus, you get all that farm-fresh, delicious taste. These are no ordinary times, so why choose an ordinary egg? Only Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
Hey, it's Heidi, and I feel very lucky to love where I live. And I know Lauren Risley feels the same. And her team at Lauren Risley Realty wants you to experience that same great feeling. One of their mottos at Lauren Risley Realty is love where you live or move. Dream homes are their specialty. Actually, they do a lot of things right, because when you buy or sell a home, it's not just a transaction. What the Lauren Risley team does is build relationships, and I've seen that firsthand. So if you have plans to buy, sell, invest, or just have a question about any of it, call Lauren Risley Realty, 314-775-0684. That's 314-775-0684. You can also email Lauren at hello@laurenrisleyrealty.com.
Welcome back. We're excited about tomorrow's program, the weekly special. It's going to be O.B. Clark's. It's a phenomenon in St. Louis. It is packed and rocking almost every night. Everybody from John Hamm to Brett Hall. I got a call today from a guy who said, hey, we're going to O.B.'s today for lunch. Want to go? I wish I could go. It's really good pizza. We're excited to have Jimmy O'Brien in the house tomorrow, and also Greg Willard.
So the pizza is your favorite thing on the list?
Well, it's something you just, when you go there, you have to have it. And they cook it in that rectangle plate or the pan. And for some reason, it just turns out great.
Yeah, I've been texting with Greg a little bit. We're going to have a lot to talk about because today, of course, is the Supreme Court arguments that President Trump actually came to around the issue of birthright citizenship. So we need Greg's analysis to kind of help us understand what the stakes are and where he thinks the Supreme Court is possibly leaning on that, and a bunch of other things breaking as well that will be great to have his insights on for sure.
We have dueling meteorologists at 5 on your side. Gary says we will get the ball game in with the Cardinals and Mets. Lance says he doesn't think so. So we'll find out who wins that one.
There's a 50% chance that one of them is right.
Yes. I don't know how they could. It just looks so rough out there. But it's amazing. It's not like you're playing a game at Lindbergh High School on a grass field or whatever. I don't even know if they have the grass. But, the tarp is on there. And the grounds crew at Busch Stadium, they just do such an unbelievable job. It could be raining for like 6 hours. Boom, you get 2 hours of no rain. They can get the game in 3 hours.
If it's no lightning, will they still play when it's raining lightly? Or what's the...
You said if it's lightning?
If it's not lightning and it's just raining lightly, do they still play?
Yeah, they'll play through a little bit of that. But sometimes they don't want to start it if it's starting with light rain. But yeah. So
many of you guys coming in with some good stories. I want to get to these... from the Royal Banks of Missouri text line, Frank, didn't Sports Illustrated or ESPN do an April Fool's prank about big leaguers all switching to aluminum bats?
Yeah, I think they did. They also made up some pitcher who was supposed to be a phenom, and they made it seem like he was going to be the greatest pitcher of all time, and he never existed. Yeah, they've done that before.
When in high school, my husband and some of his friends picked up their teacher's Volkswagen Bug, turned it around in a corner so he could not get it out without them turning it around again. That's a pretty big one for sure.
That's some guts.
Hi, thanks for having Rabbi Brad on. Passover Seder this evening. Nice family dinner and time together from our friend Ed Becker. You're welcome. Rabbi Brad's a really good guy. From the 618, it's called Detroit-style pizza. Are they talking about?
I don't think so. Connor, isn't Detroit-style pizza like a little thicker?
It's like a thick crust, yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely not Obie Clark's. But,
yeah.
Where's the Detroit-style pizza that's supposed to be pretty good?
So, I mean, if you want to chain, Jets is pretty good. There's the Pirano Pizza, which is Gerard Kraft's Detroit-style pizza place. That's over there in De Pere. That's pretty good. I've had that.
And is Detroit-style cut a particular?
Kind of squares.
It's squares. It's a rectangle. Yeah, I do like that too.
And then you get the corner pieces. That's what some people like, the corner pieces.
Yeah, you get more of the. And I like the middle pieces because I don't love the edge
you
of
don't
crust.
Like the crust?
It's okay, but I tend to not eat it. So
Are we all so hungry right now?
I'm so hungry.
I could eat a whole pizza.
I have a speaking gig leaving directly from here to go talk at the Wednesday Club. And fortunately for me, they're going to feed me lunch before I talk, which is good because I start to. I have so many loose brain cells already. It's hard enough for me to get a salient thought out. But I'll be better, I think, if my blood sugar is regulated with a good lunch for sure.
All right, we'll take a short time out. We'll be back in 22 hours. Buck and Carney next.
You know, that honeydew list isn't getting any shorter, and you got to make a dent into it. Can I recommend going somewhere to helping you out? Schnarr's Hardware. Schnarr's Hardware has 2 locations, one in Webster and one in Ladue. One great family, 2 great hardware stores. Schnarr's Hardware. When you walk in with that list, you say, okay, I think I know how to do this one, but these 3 I need help on. And you know what? The people behind the counter at Schnarr's Hardware, that's what they do best. They have the expertise, so they can help you with electrical, help you with plumbing, painting,